Welcome back to my channel, y'all. I wanted to talk to y'all briefly about the show For the People. It comes on ABC at 9 p.m. And the first episode was pretty good. They have, 3 prosecutors and 3 public defenders. And the way they set it up was very interesting because they make those distinctions as soon as they start the show. And the first girl that gets there, she gets there probably like an hour and a half early, and she keeps on pulling on the doors trying to see if they're going to open, which they don't. Then the next girl gets there and she says, I'll let them know that you came first. And she says, that's not important. She says, obviously it is, because that's why you're here first. And then a guy comes in and he sits by the angry blonde that got there second. And he starts eating his taco, and she tells him that no food is allowed in here, and there's a sign out front. And he tells her, well, I didn't see a sign. And so she says ignorance is no excuse. At that, she tells him to go on the other side and eat his taco, which he does. The last person that gets there is a prosecutor, and he opens the door and walks inside. And from there, they sit on opposite sides, the public defenders and the prosecutors. It was interesting to see the judge that they have on the show. He's the guy that met Eddie Murphy in the bathroom on Coming to America. I don't know if other people recognized him, but I did. From there, they go off to their respective buildings and to deal with their respective bosses. So on the prosecutor's side, we have Angry Blonde, and her character name is Kate Littlejohn. Seth, who is boyfriend, I don't know his last name, and then arrogant guy, and his name is Leonard, I believe. And then on the public defender side, we have brunette girl, and her name is Sandra Bell. Then we have Allison, who is the girlfriend of Seth. And then the last person is the taco eater, and his character's name is Jay. So I'm just going to run down the cases real quick. And I think the biggest case here was Sandra against Leonard, and their case was the terrorism case. And I'm going to go through how Leonard got the case, because he at first got a $9,000 insider trading case, but he went to talk to the boss and said, you should give the case to me because I'll do a good job with it. And Seth comes behind him like, oh, well, I'm humble enough to understand that this is a big case or whatever. And so his boss gives it to Leonard because he says, that I've never been a fan of humility. So that's how Leonard got the case. He goes against Sandra, who picked up the case while she was on duty. Well, when they got to their respective places, she saw a calendar. She asked her boss, what does the lawyer on duty do? And she told her that she wants to be on duty, which I thought was dumb because she doesn't know what they do. And so as soon as she got on duty, she asked her, what do I do? And she says, use your experience. So she goes down to the courthouse and she waits for cases to come in. And the clerk of court is nice enough to tell her, I email you the cases, and you need to go to this one courtroom because you have a hearing in like 8 minutes or something like that. So she rushes to the courtroom, and that's where she gets her terrorism case against Leonard. And before anything, happens, Leonard offers her 15 years. Sandra tells her boss that something must be wrong with the evidence if they're already offering 15 years off the bat. And so she decides to go talk to her client. Her client asks her what the other members of the team are getting. And so from there, she decides that she's not going to take the plea deal, and she wants the evidence sent over. And so when her boss hears wind of this, she says, well, you better find something in this evidence because that was a good deal. So from there, her and her boss also go and visit Leonard and his boss. Basically, they tell them that, they're going to go with attempt. That's what they're trying to prove there. And they throw them off because that's not actually what she's trying to prove. So it was a tactic that they used, and they decide that they're going to go to trial. So when they actually get to trial, Sandra is so busy trying to prove a point and asks all these questions to this ferry worker that it works against her, and he starts talking about 9/11. And the boy that she's defending, I believe he's Muslim. Basically, she ends up losing the case because of herself. And her boss tells her, you're not going to hit a home run out of the gate every time. You live and you learn, basically. Her boss also says there was no way, you were going to get him off for a crime like that, which the crime was blowing up the Statue of Liberty, or attempting to blow up the Statue of Liberty, I believe, because of the biases against people in this country that come from that specific region. So the next case was boyfriend versus girlfriend, and they had the $9,000 insider trading case. And Allison was defending the woman who was the ex-wife of her husband who used that information to his advantage, which she says that she didn't know. We don't know if she knew that information, but she claims that she didn't. The boyfriend decides to pile more charges on her, basically to get her to confess. And the girlfriend uses this to her advantage. She uses a private conversation that he had with her and tells the judge in court that, he's just trying to win this case by piling on more charges against her. And so the judge decides to dismiss the case, which he thought was dumb in the first place. Then the last case that we have is Jay against Kate. Their case was about this guy who's basically swindling people out of money for this organization, this fake organization called, I don't remember exactly what the organization was called. I just know, that he was trying to get people's money, and he had been doing it for years. He was a con man. And Jay is kind of naive in the fact that he believes his client and he doesn't actually research his client to figure out, what's what. So he goes into court his first day and says that the bail needs to be lowered because his client needs to take care of his sick brother who has cancer. And so Kate gets up and says that this is ridiculous. He doesn't have a brother, and that's not even his real name. And so from there, Jay decides that he wants to strike a deal with Kate, and he goes to her office and he talks to her, and he tells her that, my client really believes that this organization is real. So because he believes that this organization is real, you can't get him on intent. And so Kate shows him the in-house jail footage of him talking about how dumb he thought Jay was, and he was a real tool and all this other stuff. And so Jay feels kind of bad, but he does strike a deal with her, and I think she tells him that I'll give him 5 years, which I thought was more than generous, considering that he had been swindling people out of money for years. The episode ends basically with Kate winning her case, Leonard winning his case, and Allison winning her case. I think they're all really good lawyers. They're all interesting people. I think it's going to be a really good show. Yeah, so at the end, Seth decides that he's going to move out. And you see him packing his bags and he's getting ready to go. And then Allison and Sandra, they decide to take a walk and look at the mother court, from far away, like across this bridge. You see Jay on the steps and he's just contemplating life, I guess, and how he can be a better lawyer. And then we have Kate, and she's in her office and she's just organizing some stuff. And then Leonard, he's looking around, and he goes in Kate's office and asks her why she isn't celebrating, and she says she doesn't celebrate people going to jail. So I think this is going to be a really interesting show. I don't know anybody else that reviews the show, so if you like the show, if you have any comments about the show, please leave them down below. I'll see you guys in my next video. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye.